And everyone's timeline really is different. Instead of comparing myself like, oh, I have to be married before the age of 30, or I have to make it by the age of blah, blah, blah. Hey guys, it's been a little while since I finished my series on Jordan Peterson's book, 12 Rules for Life, where I reviewed every chapter in his book. And I just wanted to share a little bit of my reflection on the entire book and kind of how I feel like it has changed my life and really impacted me. And also just to give you guys some backstory on why I decided to do this series. Actually, my dad was the one who encouraged me to make these review videos because he read the book before I did and he just loved it so much. My brother, actually, Vincent, he was the one who first heard about who Jordan Peterson was and got really interested in his material. And so anyways, yeah, like my dad and my brother, they were like all in on this book. And so finally my dad tried to get one of us to like post these videos reviewing the book, and I was the one that answered that call because I am an obedient daughter. But as I was making these videos like every 2 weeks, I really started to feel like I was doing it for myself because of how much I felt like the content of this book was impacting my life on a personal level. So I just want to share a little bit about what I really got out of this book personally. So these 12 rules that Peterson states, they're all really great. You can go back and watch my series on each rule, but I want to really highlight rule number 4, which goes, compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. So basically what that rule is tackling is the topic of comparison. I know I struggle a lot with comparison because I'm an artist, and there's so many talented people out there in the world, and often I compare my progress with the progress of other people, and it can get very discouraging. I often put myself down, but what Peterson says is compare yourself with who you were yesterday. Like, are you making progress? Are you putting one foot in front of the other? And don't compare yourself with who someone else is today, because you don't know what they've been through to get to that point. No one really is an overnight success. And even if they are, it probably won't last very long. But if they are a success, it's probably because they climbed that mountain, and you can't judge someone just by how you see them in the now. You don't know their past. And right now, what I'm learning is to have compassion on myself and on my process, my timeline, my story, and everyone's timeline really is different. And I'm learning to have compassion on myself and patience with myself. Instead of comparing myself like, oh, I have to be married before the age of 30, or I have to make it in terms of musical success or whatever by the age of blah, blah, blah. Like, that number is just getting lower and lower, right? Like all these super talented young people are coming out and just doing wonderful things, and it's really easy to compare yourselves on that sort of timeline. But just don't do that because it's brutal. It really is brutal, and everyone's story is different, and we will inspire people differently. And another rule that really stood out to me in this book that I feel like kind of changed my life is rule number 8, and that is tell the truth, or at least don't lie. Right, so that's pretty straightforward. The rule is to always tell the truth, but I really like how Peterson says that like telling the truth is not just a decision that you make in the moment. Telling the truth is a way of life. Like when you decide to be a person who only tells the truth, like that's how you live, and that affects like every aspect of your life. You learn to speak honestly, and actually part of telling the truth is you learn to face the truth. It's like that famous movie line, like, you can't handle the truth. When you start to embrace rule number 8, tell the truth, you have to learn to handle the truth. And it's true, actually handling the truth is very difficult, it's very scary, and a lot of people don't handle the truth very well. So that's why it is a way of life. It takes a lot of courage and vulnerability and humility to face the truth. And then when you see what the truth is, for what it really is, not just for the glitz and glamour of what it seems to be, but for what it really is. And often the truth is not very beautiful. It's not very pretty. See the truth, and then to be able to articulate it is challenging. So I feel like through the last couple of months after, reading this book and studying and actually reading it a couple times through because I had to make these videos, I really felt like that principle began to take root in my heart, and I started to see the value of it in my everyday. So for example, I feel like for me, an area where it's very hard to tell the truth is when I'm trying to please somebody else, especially if that person is, like an authority figure. It's really hard for me to kind of stand up for myself, stand up for the truth. And also the thing about truth is it's your personal truth. It's not necessarily like the Bible truth. Like what Jordan Peterson is talking about is not like a right or wrong thing. It's the truth, which is personal to you. It includes how you feel, what you believe, and your experiences and all of that. That's your personal truth. And that's what Peterson is talking about. It's not, a dogmatic type of truth. So with that in mind, it's always been really hard for me when I have to choose between speaking the truth and pleasing someone. And when speaking the truth means that I have to disappoint someone, that for me has always been especially difficult because I am a people pleaser in the sense that, like I'm an artist. I want people to like me. I want people to accept me. And maybe that's not just an artist thing, but like I have that desire, I want to be loved. And so it's always really hard for me to disappoint other people, but sometimes speaking the truth requires that. And I think that's what I've learned. And also, speaking your truth doesn't mean you have to do it dishonoringly. It doesn't have to be argumentative at all. It's simply speaking the truth and being willing to take the consequences for that. And like the Bible says, speak the truth in love, So I think in love is a key. Don't speak the truth out of a desire to win, because if it's within a context of a winner and a loser, that's probably not truth either, because the truth usually is not so black and white like that. Yeah. So those are the two rules that really stood out to me. Is number one, compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. And the other rule was rule number 8, which is tell the truth or at least don't lie. So I hope that these little reflections encouraged you today. And if you missed any of my videos, you can go back and watch my series on all the chapters in this book. And actually, Dr. Jordan Peterson, his picture is right here. And actually, Dr. Peterson, he's actually, I heard that he's actually writing the second book in this 12 Rules for Life series. So that's good news. Let's just keep him in our prayers because I really love him. I think that he is such a bold person and he really stands up for himself. He really stands up for what he believes in, no matter how controversial that is. I always admire someone who has that sense of vulnerability and also courage, and someone who genuinely desires to reach for the good, the highest good. And I just feel like he's someone like that, and I want to be someone like that too. Yeah, so hope this video blessed you, and please stay safe and take care of yourself. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.